Throw hand!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Rohan's Corner. Thank you for the introduction as always to my co-hosts. And this week I'm doing a discussion slightly different to other weeks. I'm doing a video reply to our friend and fellow YouTuber Borders Dude, who asked on his channel and also on TFUK and a few other places a couple of days ago, who is your favourite G1 Decepticon leader? And I started thinking about this, and obviously there's the obvious ones: Generation 1 Megatron, Starscream for a short period of time after Megatron's demise, Galvatron, and then moving into sort of the Japanese series, you've got characters like Scorponok and so on and so forth in the Victory and so on series. However, it got me thinking, what about the greatest evil leader of all time in the Transformers franchise? And so I started going through all the series and thinking about all those leaders that we've had, people like G1 Megatron and those ones that I've mentioned before, but also the Beast Wars and Beast Machines Megatron, the RID Megatron and Galvatron character. In the Unicron trilogies, we had the same sort of thing going on again with Megatron and Galvatron, and then animated Megatron, Transformers Prime, we had Megatron and Starscream leading the team for a little while there. RID 2015, we had Steeljaw, some trying to shake it up with something a bit different, and Megatron is coming in later in the series. And in the Prime trilogy, we had Megatron again, but not as leader of the Decepticons, as the Decepticons no longer existed. Then Cyberverse, we had Megatron, Megatron X. And then in the current War for Cybertron series, we've got Megatron, Galvatron, who appeared for a little while, didn't seem to lead, but was trying to invoke some sort of inspiration in Megatron. And then Beast Wars Megatron, who knows, I haven't seen the show yet because this is probably airing about the same time as that did. And we'll see whether or not he's going to lead or be subservient to Generation 1 style War for Cybertron Megatron. But all of this got me thinking, how do I rank and how do I rate who is the best Decepticon, or not even Decepticon, evil leader in Transformers history? And so I started thinking, what are the characteristics that we should be thinking about? Well, whether or not they're a great strategist like Generation 1 Megatron was, who had great plots on how to take over the world or how to gain energy and how to decimate and dominate the Autobots to an extent. Or whether or not it was a ruthlessness and the ability to really attack and savagely beat other adversaries, people like Beast Wars Megatron, and also in the more recent War for Cybertron series as well. Or whether it's a maniacal or mad characteristic like G1 Galvatron had, that insane ability to do unbelievable things spontaneously which were just not really anything you would think that should be done, and so on and so forth. Or maybe it's a self-serving and selfishness like Starscream always seems to have, that ability to just be out for himself, epitomized by his Generation 1 and his Prime characters, which showcase that very well, and even in animated as well to an extent. Or maybe we could talk about abusiveness, and Generation 1 Megatron was very abusive towards Starscream, and you've seen other Megatron characters throughout the series being abusive to characters, like in RID 2000 with Megatron and Galvatron in that series being abusive towards Skybite and the Predacons. Or maybe it's viciousness, someone who's very powerful like the gladiatorial Megatron in War for Cybertron. Intelligence is a key factor. We've seen that in Steeljaw in the RID 2015 series, kind of combining with that strategy-based scenario. Immoralness, not having any morals and just doing things because they want to achieve them. I think that's key for all of the evil leaders, to be honest with you. Whether or not they're calculated in what they're doing, many of the evil leaders were very calculated, and the dim-witted ones were less high up the chain, I guess. But Starscream has often shown that he can be quite dim-witted at times, so he still sort of manages to make his way up the chain there. And then inspiring. I think Generation 1 Megatron, probably for me, one of the most inspiring evil characters that we've seen in any of the lines. But there are a few others in there as well. Beast Wars Megatron really inspired unified his troops, maybe out of fear more than anything else. And then you look at things like animated as well, where Megatron was an imposing character who made a big difference there. So all of this got me thinking, and I started to think, well, actually, out of all of these characters, and some of them are different characters, some of them are the same. You look at the ROD and the Unicron trilogies, Megatron and Galvatron characters, they're actually, in my opinion, they're the same character with a new colour scheme to sell some toys. They've got the same voice, they've got the same characteristics, they behave in the same manner, so I kind of classify them, even though he's got a new name, as the same character. However, there are other ones where it's distinctly different, like G1 Megatron to G1 Galvatron, two completely different characters in the way in which they think, in the way in which they speak, in the way in which they voice actors were done. And ultimately it got me thinking, who is my favourite villainous leader of all time? And it was quite close. I think Generation 1 Megatron definitely has all of those characteristics that I've mentioned. He's probably the top of the pile. But then I started thinking, actually, he was a great strategist. He was ruthless. He was intelligent. He had some abusive and vicious tendencies. But actually, Beast Wars and Beast Machines Megatron took it to that next level with their maniacalness, with their self-serving, selfish attitude, with the want to rebrand all Transformers everywhere into their own image to make sure that they were towing the Megatron line and becoming, non-organisms, and also being just what he wanted, and then obviously ruling that empire. And I think ultimately for me, Beast Machines and Beast Wars Megatron, very key at the moment, obviously, with Kingdom coming out, the new Beast Wars film coming out, is very prominent. I think that character, especially with his voice acting by David Kay, was absolutely immense. And so, ultimately, that's my choice for the evil character leader of all time. Starscream definitely from Prime gets a mention in there. G1 Megatron, as I say, is very, very close second. And I like the fact that they put Steeljaw in for RD 2015 as a different spring. I'd like to see in an upcoming series a new character taking on the leadership mantle for the Decepticons, different to Megatron or Galvatron. And if they do a second leader in that series, like a Megatron evolves into Galvatron, a different characteristic, a different voice actor coming in and doing that, because that, I think, will make all the difference. And I haven't seen Kingdom yet. I will be doing a review on my channel this weekend, so if you've seen it and you want to check out my review, or if you just want to check out the review to see whether or not it's worth watching, I'll be putting up an in-depth review. Have a look, and hey, hopefully it's a good series and we get some good Beast Wars Megatron in there. Hopefully, in my opinion, he overthrows G1 Megatron and leads the Decepticons, but who knows? We shall see. Anywho, for another week, I've been Rohan on Rohan's Corner. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Back to the studio and catch you next week.
Hey boys, we've been rumbled. Well, let's bounce.